So I just want to talk about training through pain, training with some sort of nagging injury. I think one of the worst things that you can do if you do have some nagging pain or some nagging injury that is preventing you from making the most of your training is to just stop and to let it heal on its own without providing some sort of stimulus to your brain or to the tissue itself. It's important to know that pain is an experience. I'm just putting some random training footage over the screen here because no one wants to look at my face through a screen and just watch me talk on a screen the whole time. Sometimes we just perceive our environment, take in all the stimuli, interpret it, and it comes out as kind of this pain sensation. I think what's really important is to not catastrophize this pain. For the most part, our pain's going to go away with time, with healing, as long as we still providing a stimulus to the brain, the tissue, giving it a reason to adapt. And so what I think is really important if you are in a situation in which you have pain performing some sort of exercise, and just for example, let's just say you have some pain in your knee when you squat. If an athlete comes to me and says they have pain when they squat, I'm not just going to cut out squat and say, nope, we're not doing it. It's no good for you. You're going to hurt yourself again. You're going to make it worse. It's not what I'm going to suggest. There's 3 things that I'm going to address because I still want that athlete to train. I still want that athlete to get the stimulus that can elicit some sort of adaptation. I still want them to train. And it's not necessarily that they're training through this pain or training around it. They're just training. So if we go back to this example where someone says they have knee pain when they squat, so one thing that I would like to address is the exercise selection itself, a range of motion of the movement and the load. More than likely, we can adjust 1, 2, or even all 3 of those things, and the athlete or the trainee can still perform some variation of the movement. Let's just say they're back squatting 315 pounds. What if we lower the weight to 250, to 240, to 230, to 225, to 185? Because we don't know, maybe it's not the squat itself that bothers them. Maybe it's when they squat with a certain load and there's just some signal to the brain that's aggravating that tissue, causing them pain. So maybe we find out that it is the squat that is actually bothering them. Well, another thing we can look at is the range of motion of the movement. Does it only hurt when they get to full depth? Does it only hurt during the concentric portion of the movement? Does it only hurt during the eccentric portion of the movement? Maybe the range of motion is the main culprit of their pain. So now we can address that. Instead of having them do normal full depth squats, we can have them squat to pins. We can make them go only half depth. We can have them slowly lower until they feel pain and then stand up at a normal speed. There's a ton of different ways we can address this issue. And then lastly, if we find out that the squat itself, regardless of the range of motion, regardless of the load, they still have this knee pain, we're going to address the exercise selection. So maybe it's when we back squat, there's no issue when we front squat. And if that bothers them, then we move on to another option. Maybe we do a box squat. Maybe we do a split squat because we still want to get that training stimulus that we are looking for at the beginning of the training session. So from an exercise selection standpoint, maybe we have to regress to like a belt squat, or maybe we have to regress to a lunge or a step up or a leg press. And now it's not exactly the same as a back squat. We're still loading the lower body. We're still getting a training effect. Because I do think it's really rare that you have some sort of injury or some sort of pain, with a few exceptions, that totally eliminates any sort of training to be done on that body part. And when there is a case in which someone does have like an ACL tear where they can't flex and extend the knee under any load or at any sort of range of motion at all, that's beyond my scope of practice. That's where they go see a physical therapist, they go see an AT. So bottom line here, or best advice I can give is if you do have some sort of nagging pain or some sort of injury, don't just skip the training session. Don't just avoid training these specific body parts. 1, address the load. 2, address the range of motion, because if we adjust the load, if we adjust the range of motion, we still can probably still train that body part or still train that movement. If those don't work, then we can start to modify the exercise itself. For the most part, you're going to be able to train that body part, that movement, those muscles that are giving you some problems. And I just have to ask if you could please like this video and subscribe to my channel. That would be greatly appreciated. So thank you.